Welcome to Dynamic India. India is being reborn. Home to 17% of the world population, India is experiencing outstanding growth, and its GDP is expected to overtake that of Italy in 5 years. How is this phenomenal expansion possible? And what were the key factors in India's rise to become one of the leading economies of the world? No one can predict India's future for certain, but it is also true discussing the country's economic future cannot be done more confidently than by Indians themselves. So what do Indians think about their future? This special program will explore that question with 3 Indian experts. Our first interview with the Managing Director and CEO of a major pharmaceutical company. Let's see what Satish Reddy sees as a key to growth for India.
For India, the key to growth is implementation.
This is Hyderabad, a city in south-central India and one of the country's pharmaceutical centers. Dr. Reddy's Laboratories is based here, and its managing director is Satish Reddy. There are 20,000 pharmaceutical companies in India, more than anywhere else in the world, and Dr. Reddy's is the leader in sales. Though Dr. Reddy's is now a major corporation, the founder, Satish's father Anji, started it with capital equivalent to only $40,000 US. Focusing on the development and sale of cheap generic drugs, Dr. Reddy's competes internationally as well as in India. Just 2 years after it was founded, Dr. Reddy's entered the world's largest market for pharmaceuticals, the United States. Today, it has sales channels, production facilities, and research labs around the globe. As a result of the remarkable growth of global companies like Dr. Reddy's, in 2009, Indian companies exported pharmaceutical products worth over $5.2 billion, more than double the figure 5 years earlier. Satish Reddy says the key to the growth of the Indian pharmaceutical industry was speedy implementation. We asked him why companies were good at implementation.
The background of the very rapid growth of Indian pharmaceutical industry can be attributed to a couple of reasons. One, I would say, is clearly the Indian Patent Act of 1970, which did not recognize product patents but recognized only process patents. Why it helped the growth of the industry is because by being able to reverse engineer processes, companies were able to make products which were able to be launched in the country at affordable prices, and that led to the growth of the domestic industry. At the same time, they also started exporting to countries for products which went off patent, and also to countries which did not recognize patents. So that also led to increase in the exports. So both combined, I would say that it led to the growth. I think Indians have mastered that game ahead of others, so that in the whole competitive space in generics globally, Indians are able to stand up very strongly at this point of time.
Under laws introduced in India in the 1970s, simply by changing the method of production, Indian pharmaceutical firms were able to legally manufacture identical but cheaper versions of Western medicines. Medicines that Western companies had invested huge sums of money to develop. But after legal amendments in 2005, Indian companies were no longer allowed to produce generic medical products until after the original patent had expired. India had lost its legal advantage. Even so, Reddy says Indian firms are already masters of rapid implementation. He is confident that India is ready to meet the next implementation challenge.
We'll also get into the same expertise in development also in the biologic space. It's a huge opportunity. It's billions of dollars coming from a few molecules. There are not too many players in this field at this point of time. Technology is extremely complex, and we believe that because of our experience in being able to launch products year after year in the Indian market, taking it on to emerging markets, we believe that we'll have a great pipeline and also the strength to compete in the global space whenever the products go off patent.
Reddy continues to emphasize rapid implementation in its own company. But what is the state of implementation at the government level?
You know, the aggressive reforms that India needs at this point of time, that is still not happened yet. You know, so while there are plenty of ideas and things being put forward, in terms of implementation, I think that's where still the bottleneck is. Whether it's on the education side, whether it's on the healthcare infrastructure side, or infrastructure in general, the power, the roads, and things like that, lots more needs to be implemented fast. The ideas are all there, but I think the implementation is really the bottleneck. But in spite of all its difficulties, I think the kind of opportunities that India is able to capitalize on, I think that's tremendous at this point of time, and I feel very confident that India will continue to clock the growth rates, you know, compared to other economies.
Joining us now in the studio is Mr. Hiroshi Hirabayashi, the president of Japan-India Association. He has also served as ambassador to India. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
When I was in India as a correspondent, India's capacity of rapid implementation was very evident, and Mr. Reddy, a global executive, says the secret of the growth is implementation. Based on your many years of experience as a diplomat, would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree to his analysis. I stayed in India for 4 years and a half, and I witnessed the increasingly rapid growth of Indian economy, and it is thanks to Dr. Manmohan Singh, who started a process of reform of economy in early 1990s. And now, as Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh is accelerating this process. And remarkable is his ability to implement the ideas or the projects. I think Mr. Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, is in the sense Mr. Implementation of India, the symbol of excellent implementation of India.
What about India's standing in international politics?
With the growth of economic prowess, India has become an excellent political power to be reckoned with in the international community. India is now a member of the so-called G20, a group of 20 most important influential countries in the world. India is now a member of East Asian summits, and India is considered to be one of the most promising candidates to be a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, like Japan.
But as Mr. Reddy says, some aspect of the implementation at the government level is not going smoothly.
Right. The entire situation is improving, and yet there are still the continued practice of corruption among bureaucrats and politicians, and red tapes, inefficient administration of the central and the state governments. And these are the obstacles which would harass the excellent implementation by entrepreneurs, by the political leaders, and even by private citizens.
Do you see any difference of the achievement between the states?
Oh yes. There are a big difference between the rapidly developing states, thanks to excellent political leaderships, and such states which are lagging behind. Generally speaking, the southern states, for example, the state of Karnataka, is now one of the most rapidly developing states. However, in the heartland of India, along the Ganges River, there are big states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, which are lagging behind owing to the bad governance, not so excellent governance.
I see. Now take a look at this. It's IMF data released in October. We can see that India's real GDP growth rate is more than 3 times that of US or Japan. India's economy continues to show robust growth. But at the same time, GDP based on purchasing power parity per capita is only 1/10 that of Japan. India is still dealing with various harsh realities as a developing country. The economy is characterized by extreme growth and extreme disparity in wealth. The two ideas seem at odds, but in India they coexist. What key can be used to unlock this apparent incompatibility? To explore this, let's see the example of Karnataka, a place in southern India where poverty and growth clearly coexist.
Karnataka is in South India. State capital Bangalore is a symbol of India's IT industry. This so-called Silicon Valley of India is a cosmopolitan city, home to more than 700 companies from around the world. It's a driving force for the Indian economy. In spite of a sluggish global economy, Bangalore is showing no sign of losing momentum. The state government announced that at the Global Investors Meet in June 2010, agreements were reached on investments worth $90 billion. The most common type of investment was related not to the IT industry, but to steel industry projects. The IT investment-friendly financial environment in Karnataka is now helping to draw out the hidden potential of aerospace, food processing, and other businesses.
Karnataka will not only continue to provide leadership in IT and BT growth of India, but also in the manufacture of steel and cement. Karnataka will also show the way for development of infrastructure through PPP route.
At the same time, though, many parts of Karnataka have not yet benefited from business development. Harish Hande felt he could do something to change this harsh reality, and so he founded a social enterprise focused on providing solar energy.